Awesome. Nice to see everybody.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, glad to see everybody come out. Very excited to have so many of you here. And of course, as you guys know, we will be recording this session. So you'll see Recorder Bot running around here to share on social media for those of you that couldn't make it. Of course, we're very excited to share that with everybody. And yeah, I see even some other people from all over the place are joining in right now. So guys, for those of you who don't know, let me just quickly check. Moeez, are you here? Moeez? Okay, looks like Moeez is not here yet, so we got to wait a little bit while longer, but he should be here shortly.
Yeah, he was earlier. He was bright and early, wasn't he? But I think he's probably...
That's okay. I'll do an intro as soon as Moeez...
Oh, he's moving around now. Hello, Moeez.
Hey, how's it going?
Hello.
Hey. Okay, so Moeez, I'm going to do a quick intro, but guys, as you know, Moeez is here from Cloudways and DigitalOcean, and he's here to impart some hosting knowledge and advice on people that do what we do, right? We work with Divi, we work with WordPress, we do all sorts of stuff that rely on having fantastic hosting. With bad hosting, you get bad sites. When you do shared hosting, don't go Bluehost, stay away from AIG websites. You want managed hosting as you get with Cloudways. Now, Moeez brings a lot of knowledge on the topic, and he's going to be sharing some invaluable insights. And I don't want you guys to forget, on the side here of the conference area, you can see that there's a special offer that Moeez is offering all the Divi Engine users and anybody that is attending this, which is 40% off for 4 months, 40 free migrations, as well as $25 in hosting credits. So that is very exciting. So we thank you guys for that. But I think I'm going to hand it over to Moeez now, because I know he's got an awesome presentation ready for us. So Moeez, why don't you take it away? I think you're muted.
Yeah, I think it's his microphone more than muted. Maybe just...
Okay, let's just give Moeez another second here. I think it's just quickly reloading, but he'll be right back.
Yeah, he comes. It's nice to see him running over.
Yeah.
How about now?
Yeah, you're perfect now, man. Go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Robey. Thank you so much for the introduction, and I'm honored to be here. Obviously, I want to thank you and your team for inviting me here today for this talk. So yeah, just to start off with the presentation, let me just share my screen, Robey, in 2 minutes, and just want to start off with my own introduction. If people over here obviously heard about Cloudways. Cloudways is a managed hosting provider. We offer managed hosting for WordPress websites, WooCommerce sites, and along with that, we also offer hosting for Magento, PHP applications, Laravel applications as well. And we are built on top of 3 top cloud providers, namely DigitalOcean, AWS, and Google Cloud. Right, so we have been in the space for about 10 years now, and we have been focusing on WordPress and WooCommerce and all the other applications that I have named so far. We are very community driven. We are very product driven. We are actually really very customer driven. So we have released a few features over the past 2 quarters that I will be speaking about in the next few minutes. And yeah, so this was my and I obviously work at Cloudways as the head of community. I'm the community lead at Cloudways. I lead all the community initiatives that we do all year round at Cloudways, including events, including all the webinars, live sessions, and online events as well, like this one. So again, thank you, Robey, for having me here. I'm just going to be sharing my screen. If you can just give me 2 minutes.
Sure thing. Okay, we can see your screen.
Robey, if you can confirm, you can see my screen?
Yes, sir. We can see your screen.
Perfect. Thank you. So as I have already given my introduction, I'm the community head at Cloudways and what Cloudways does. And the topic of my presentation today is importance of managed hosting for WordPress and e-commerce stores, right? So as Robey said before, it's important to have, a good hosting, whatever your business is. If it's an e-commerce store, if it's an an online tutoring business, if it's an SMB, if you have an agency. I mean, the good hosting it builds the foundation for the success of your business, right? And if you don't have that, you're gonna suffer in the long run. I mean, you're gonna have you can get success with cheap hosting or with poor hosting for a few months, but then in the long run you're gonna see some cons of having substandard hosting for your business. So that's what my talk is going to be revolving around today. And before I go on with this specific topic, I'm just going to take a few minutes to build a foundation on why does a hosting matter, right? Why does a good hosting matter? I mean, I can give you tons of reasons why it's super important to have a quality hosting provider as your business partner. I mean, hosting is not something. It's not a prerequisite. It's not something that you gonna have for a month or two. It's something that will stick with you for a good year, couple of years, right? And it's important to have a good hosting provider because it's if I'm speaking with experience, because it's very difficult to move from one host to another. I mean, if you choose a substandard hosting now, you're going to be having to move 6 months later you will have to move to another hosting provider, and it's gonna cost you a lot in terms of time, money, and other resources, right? It's risky as well. So moving from one host to another after every 6 months or after every year, it's risky. It's because it compromises your database. Your sites are down for a while, so it's not ideal. No one's happy with that. So it's important to have a good hosting provider so that can stick with you for 2, 3 years, 4 years, and that can grow with you as well. All right. So a lot of hosting providers, what they do is, they're not your partners in growth, right? So at Cloudways, we like to call ourselves, the extended team. So we are an extended team for agencies, we're an extended team for SMBs. And what it does is basically it allows businesses to grow without any hurdles, right? We don't stop them from growing, because if they grow, we have to grow with them, right? We have to make sure that we have the servers, we have the resources, we have the bandwidth to cater to their users, to their requirements. All right. So we don't want to become a hurdle. We don't want to become, a problem and get in their way and get in the way of their growth, right? So, and before I move on, I want to just make sure that it's important to understand what managed hosting is, right? I mean, we can talk all day about how managed hosting is better than most of the other hosting types, but it's important to understand what exactly is managed hosting, right? So a book's definition is a managed hosting is something that manages all or most of your hosting complexities for the clients. Now, it's important to understand that not all managed hostings are same, right? Some may manage your server side, some may manage your application side, and some even manages both, right? So regardless of which hosting provider you go for, it has to have some sort of management either on server side or on application side. And it's when you talk about WordPress, you may have heard the term of managed WordPress hosting or managed WooCommerce hosting. Now, ideally, what that should mean is that the hosting provider manages your application, manages your updates, manages your application level security, manages everything that is related to your WordPress website, along with obviously the server level management as well. Now, as you can see, managed hosting is when a hosting provider manages all or most of the hosting capacities for the clients, which includes basics. These 4 things are the absolute basics of managed hosting, right? Server deployment, launching WordPress, launching your WordPress application, staging and loading, and scalability. Now, these are the things that are obviously, I would say, prerequisites for a managed hosting provider. Now, I would just want to shift my screen to our platform here for a bit, if I have Robey's permission to do that.
Absolutely, go ahead.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna move from here to our platform. I'm just gonna show you or demonstrate how what does deployment mean, and what does managing application means, and what does staging and cloning means, right? So this is basically our backend, Cloudways' backend, where you can see I have just launched a test server. Now, before I go into the server, I would just like to go back to the server deployment area, right? So if you can see over here, it's very simple, right? And this is exactly what managed hosting does. It makes hosting very simple for you, because if you're doing all of this yourself, now I'm just gonna take 2 minutes, and I will launch a server and I will launch a WordPress website on a DO server, on a DigitalOcean server in 2 minutes, right? So I'm just going to select website. I'm going to name it test2, again, just naming it. And then I choose a 1 GB server. I have chosen my data center location, and all I have to do is click launch now. Once I do that, in about 6 minutes, my website will be ready. My server will be ready, right? Now imagine doing that yourself, right? For example, Robey, you have an e-commerce store, right? You have a busy campaign coming ahead, right? And you want to launch. You have a busy campaign planned for next year. You want to launch a server on DigitalOcean, on a WooCommerce site, right? And you have to do all of this yourself. Now, you may have the technical expertise to do this yourself, but will you have the time? Will you have the other resources? Will you have the money to do all of this yourself, especially if you're a startup or a growing business, right? It's going to cost you a lot in terms of time and money, right? You're going to hire a developer. You should have every other resources that is available to you, to make sure that you have all of these, or to make sure that you launch a dedicated server or a VPS server on your WordPress site. So you have to understand how managed hosting makes everything so simple for you and easy, and it's it doesn't take a lot of time. I mean, I just showed you how you can launch a WordPress website on a DO server in 2 minutes, right? And physically, if you're not using any of these platforms, it's gonna take you hours. So yeah, I mean, this is something that it's very important to understand. I'm just gonna go back to my old screen. If you can just give me 2 minutes.
Yeah, it's very interesting so far. I know from personal experience using Cloudways that it definitely has been my favorite host to use because it is so easy to scale and spin up new servers and applications.
Absolutely, Robey. So moving on from from here to let's see what we have next. So just wanted to show you how easy it is to deploy a server, launch an application, clone or scalability. I will be showing this cloning and scalability in the slides later. So now speaking about, now we have understood what managed hosting is. We have understood the importance of managed hosting and how easy it makes hosting for everyone. I mean, even if people who doesn't know what hosting is or what what servers are or what data centers are, it makes it easier for them. Now moving on to who are the ideal customer profiles who should be using managed hosting. If you ask me, I would say everyone, right? I mean, it's basically ideal for everyone. I mean, obviously there are other things that you would need to think about. For example, budgets and spending and everything. But in an ideal world, I think managed hosting is for everyone. And if you ask me, I mean, I can divide it into three substrata: some small and medium businesses, which includes online stores, digital agencies, and online course creators. It can include enterprises as well, which includes banks, NGOs, farmers, FMCGs, and all. We have all of these, businesses hosting their, websites, not exactly WordPress websites, but custom PHP websites on Cloudways, and obviously individuals as well. So if you're a blogger just starting out your blogging, hobby, or if you are an affiliate marketer that you write content around hosting, you write content around tech, and you are earning a hefty affiliate commission from those websites, managed hosting is something that you can go for. YouTubers, podcasters, I mean, we have a lot of YouTubers and podcasters who host their websites on Cloudways, and it's an ideal solution for them as well, because they have to use stream their videos on their website, so they require resources that can obviously help them to do that, right? So these are basically the ideal people that should be using managed hosting. And obviously, and I've said it before, ideally everyone can use managed hosting. It's not something that for example, if you ask me who should be using a dedicated server, I would just name a few type of businesses that should be using a dedicated server. But it's not the case for managed hosting, right? Absolutely everyone can use a managed hosting provider for their business. Now moving on to the benefits of managed hosting, like there are a number of benefits that you can take from from managed hosting. One of which is, I mentioned previously, it's staging and cloning, right? So I've just go back to my platform, go back to the Cloudways platform. Robey, can you confirm if you can see the platform?
Yes, sir. I can see it loud and clear.
Perfect. All right. So I've just entered the server area of my server that I launched a few moments before. Now this server, now this is the area where obviously I will be managing all my server related issues. Obviously, I won't be doing it myself. It's just all of it is just one click, right? So if I don't have to, most of these areas I don't even have to change or do anything. It's all set for me, right? If I do have the technical expertise, I might go into the nitty-gritties, but for 70% of our users, they don't have to change anything. They just have to look and monitor, right? That's one of the main purposes of having this over here, right? So if I say scalability is something that is very easy for a managed hosting provider. It offers easy scalability. This is where you can do that, right? So over here on the left, obviously you can see we have yeah. So over here on the left, you can see we have the vertical scaling option, right? So it allows you to scale your server just like it's like you're increasing the volume of your on YouTube, right? So you just drag it from here, and then you can move it to whichever plan that you want to move to, and then click on scale. Now once you do that, I mean it takes around 10 minutes to scale your website. It's as easy as that. It's as easy as that. And once your campaign is over, right, for which you had scaled your server, you can move it back to the regular plan that you are on, and then click on scale now. That's how easy it is to scale your server on a managed hosting provider, right? And then similarly for staging and cloning, I mean, it's super easy to create a staging environment or create a cloning environment. I mean, the environment that you're seeing right now, this is a staging environment, right? And this is where you can do everything that you want to do with your server or with your application. So this is your WordPress application area, right? So you can click on staging management and launch a staging application. And what it will do, it will create a staging application for you where you can test out different things. So again, the point is easy, right? Managed hosting makes hosting easy for everyone, simple for everyone, and affordable as well. So this is the idea behind having a managed hosting provider for your WordPress or an e-commerce store. It makes it easy for you. It's cost effective, it's time effective, it's resource effective altogether. Now, moving on to the benefits of having, a managed host, right? So, most of the managed hosting providers, that I have worked with, that I have used, they come with these security features, right? And more as well. But I won't go into the details of what those more, security features are. Just telling you what the basic security features most of the managed hosting providers offer. So SSL certificates, right? I just showed you on the screen. I won't go back and forth again. But the screen I was on previously, you should have seen, or you must have seen, on the left hand side, there was a SSL certificate option. That option allows you to add SSL certificates to as many applications that you want on just one click, right? You won't have to spend more than 2 minutes adding an SSL certificate to your website. And obviously we know nowadays that it's so essential to have SSL certificates on your website, because obviously if you're an e-commerce store, if you are a WordPress business, I mean, if you don't have an SSL on your website, it won't even rank, right? Server patching. So server patching is something that most of the hosting providers offer, including Cloudways. Now what it does is basically it's regular on-time maintenance to make sure that there are no loopholes in the server that you have just launched. Because if there are, there's a chance that any vulnerability might occur or may affect your website, right? So it's regular server patching that occurs timely, regularly. Every hosting provider has its own duration or schedule regarding server patching, right? Some do it monthly, some do it weekly, some do it once in 2 months. It's different for every host, but they do it very regularly to make sure that your server is in the best shape. Again, you can do this yourself as well if it's not managed. I mean, it's gonna take you hours, right? And obviously the support team that we have on the back end is obviously doing it for you, and you won't even know it, right? You won't even know when the server was patched, when the server was maintained. There is no downtime. There's nothing. Like, they just do it, and then they exit the area. You won't even feel anything.
Now,
Dedicated
Moeez, Sorry to interrupt you. I just don't want to get ahead of put the cart in front of the horse here, but I noticed the vulnerability scanner on there. Is that similar to what you're talking about right now?
Yeah, so the vulnerability scanner is something that we have just recently launched. I was about to get to that in the features that we have, but it's all right. I will just cover it. I will just cover it over here. So the vulnerability scanner is a feature that we have recently launched, and that is one of the features that we it's not something that we have reinvented the wheel. I mean, it's a feature that was there before as well, but it's an advanced version of that feature. So previously we had Malcare, which basically scanned malwares on your application. Now what this feature will do is the vulnerability scanner, as the name suggests, right? It will scan for vulnerabilities on your application, right? If you have a WordPress application launched or a WooCommerce application launched, it will do that. Will scan vulnerabilities on your application. Now server patching is scanning vulnerabilities on your server, right? So that's the difference between the two. Dedicated firewalls, obviously every managed host has app and server level firewalls installed, so make sure that it's safe, your business is safe from malwares and hackers. And then obviously scanning for vulnerabilities. Now there is once the server is scanned, it's then patched, right? So server patching and scanning for vulnerabilities go hand in hand, right? So managed host scans your server and then patches it, and then patches any vulnerabilities or loopholes that it may find in your server, right? So these are some of the security features that a managed host provides on a timely basis, and that is these are one of few of the reasons why managed hosting may cost you a little bit on the higher side than you can say unmanaged host, right? So performance, yeah. So while your website or your business is secure on a managed host, it's also optimized for performance. Because if you have an e-commerce site or a WooCommerce site or any other business that you're running, performance is a must, right? No one can compromise on load times, no one can compromise on speed. So these are the few of the features that most of the hosting providers come with. Cache layers. At Cloudways, we work with 4 cache layers: Varnish, Memcache, and Redis. Now, you may not have heard of all 4 or 1 or 2, but even honestly, most of our customers don't even know that these cache layers exist, right? But they don't have to know. All they have to know is that their websites are performing at an optimum level. Now, how it's happening, that's up to us, right? That's on us. We take care to make sure that their website is performing at an optimum level. VPS environment, obviously at Cloudways, and I can speak about some of the other hosting providers, is that we have obviously a VPS environment here at Cloudways, which means that it's a hybrid of managed and it's a hybrid of dedicated and shared, right? Dedicated gives you a full server, shared gives you a portion of that full server, and a VPS gives you a fixed portion of a full server, right? So you have fixed resources. Those resources cannot be shared by anyone. You are only allowed to use the resources that you have been given. But again, it's still a portion of that one big server, right? So it has the qualities of a dedicated server. It has the cost of a shared server. It has the performance levels of a dedicated server, the security levels of a dedicated server at a cost of a shared server, right? So that's where VPS is the perfect blend, you can say, to have for businesses of all shapes and sizes. CDNs, we have recently included Cloudflare as our CDN partner at Cloudways. Obviously, Cloudflare being the best CDN there is in the market at the moment, and it significantly enhances performance and security. Now, what a CDN does is basically delivers content from the nearest server there is, regardless if you have a data center in New York and your website and you're targeting users in Tokyo. If you have a Cloudflare CDN activated on your website, you won't have to worry about performance, because CDN will fetch the content from the nearest server possible, right? SSD servers, obviously, this is not something new. Obviously, everyone knows this. SSD servers are faster than the regular servers. Cache plugins, yes. Cache plugins, some of the hosting providers, managed hosting providers, do come with pre-installed cache plugins. For Cloudways, I can say we come with Object Cache Pro and Breeze as in-house cache plugins. Object Cache Pro is around $90 per month, which we give free to all our WordPress users, pre-installed in their applications, right? So a premium plugin, WordPress users can use, without paying a buck extra. So performance, security, and obviously scalability. When it comes to scalability, managed hosting is something, it's a managed hosting is bread and butter, right? Scalability. I mean, if they're not scalable, they're not managed in its essence, right? So auto scaling and one click scaling. Excuse me, Robby.
No worries, man.
So
I'll
auto
stay
scaling.
hydrated.
Yeah, absolutely. So auto scaling. Yeah. So auto scaling is something where your servers are automatically scaled based on the traffic spike your store or your website is getting. And one click scaling is that you have to do it manually, right? So I just showed you how you can scale manually, like increasing the volume on your YouTube video. And auto scaling is that it will scale automatically, so you won't have to even do that. You won't even have to spend those 2 minutes scaling your server. Even that will be done automatically for you. Obviously the cost is on the higher side because the technology is it's Kubernetes, so it's expensive, as we speak. But it does it automatically. So if, for example, you're running a Black Friday campaign on your website, right, and you are anticipating a traffic spike in the next 2 to 3 days, but you can't tell exactly which day you will get the biggest traffic spike, right? You won't have to worry about anything, right? The auto scaling feature will scale your server automatically as the traffic spike increases, right? So you won't have to sit there on the server, increase the server size, and then decrease it altogether. The auto scaling feature will do it for you automatically, right? And this is where managed hosting should be getting so much credit for, because it takes so many hosting hassles from you as a business owner, and allows you to focus on your business, on your online store, or on your affiliate business, or on your WordPress agency, so that you can increase your revenue, you can increase your profit, and we will manage your hosting, we will manage your application, we will manage your hosting hassles, right? And obviously this is a huge advantage, right? This is a great advantage of having a managed hosting as your business partner, as your support partner, right? Because if you are doing everything on your own, if you're looking at the server at your own, if you are hiring developers and getting people from outside your company to do the things for you, obviously it's going to affect your productivity, your business, your profitability, and obviously you won't be able to spend as much time as you want on your business, because you will be too busy handling your servers and applications.
Makes sense.
Support. Yeah, support. I mean, support is something that no hosting provider compromises on. And if it's a managed hosting, I mean, the support should be top notch, right? One of the main reasons why users choose managed hosting is because of support. Now there are two types of support that every managed hosting offers. Either they offer both, or they offer one or the other, right? So WordPress expert support means that, and I used a term earlier in the presentation which says WordPress managed hosting or managed WordPress hosting. Now this means that the support is going to be WordPress specific, which would ultimately mean that the support reps will be able to fix your WordPress issues, which is huge, right? So because most of the hosting providers, they don't offer this type of support, right? What they do is they offer server level support, so they can fix your server level issues, but they won't be able to fix your WordPress level issues because they are not WordPress experts. They are hosting experts. They are server level experts. They don't know how a WordPress website, they can't improve your code, they can't fix your plugins, they can't fix your themes, right? And if a hosting provider is offering WordPress expert support or WordPress level support, I mean, that is huge. Obviously it will cost more as well. You can search for hosting providers that are offering WordPress level support, and you will automatically see that their pricing is a bit higher than normal support, server level support hosting providers, right? Even Cloudways, we offer WordPress expert support, but at a cost, right? So it's a support add-on that we offer, every user gets server level support by default, but if they want a WordPress expert support, they have to pay a certain amount extra per month to get that, right? Because it's obviously expensive. It's naturally it's going to incur more cost to have to provide you with the WordPress level support that you need, because you need the expertise in your team to make sure that we offer that level of support. Cost considerations, very important. As I mentioned before, ideally managed hosting is for everyone, right? And I can understand that not everyone will be able to afford managed hosting, right? So this is why at Cloudways we have plans that go from $10 a month, and then it can increase to more than $5,000 a month, right?
Wow.
So the plans are for everyone, right? Everyone can use. If you don't have $5,000, obviously you can go for the $10 per month plan, and then you can scale up as your business grow. You won't have to jump ships when you're growing, right? You won't have to change a host when you're growing. You know that even if I grow exponentially, they have the plans that can meet my requirements, right? So
Yeah.
so it's only sensible to have such a variety of plans in your armor, so that every user that comes is interested in having managed hosting should get it, right? Because on an average, a managed hosting starts from $30 a month, $35 a month, which is a lot for a small business, right? So if you're just starting off, you're gonna be spending around 20% of your budget on hosting, right?
Wow.
Which is a lot, right? So if at Cloudways, we understand how it's important for small businesses to have a managed host from the start, because the trend is, Robey, that new businesses, they tend to go for shared hosting, or they tend to go for smaller hosting because they want to meet the budget.
$3 a month, whatever.
Yeah,
Throw my
exactly.
clients on
So
there.
yeah. So and when they see growth in their business, they don't see it. They don't see the same growth in their hosting provider, right? So they have to jump ships. When they do that, it costs them double than what it would have costed them if they started off with managed hosting, right? So if you start off with $10 a month, it's not going to cost you a lot in the long run. But if you start with $2 a month, it's going to cost you quadruple in the long run, right? So it's cost effective from whichever angle. Yeah.
Yes. And what I know about Cloudways pricing structure, as opposed to these shared hosts, is shared hosts will give you $3 a month for the first year, and then it goes to like $25 a month after the first year or whatever. It's like heavy promotional, where your pricing is flat. It's $10 a month, depending on what scale you go to, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So there are renewal costs attached to the hosting providers that Robey, you just mentioned. And Cloudways, we don't have those. Our pricing is extremely transparent, right? So I'll just go back to our platform screen again.
We're on your platform screen, yeah.
Yeah. So, and if I go back to the server area, I can show you how transparent the pricing is at Cloudways, and it's the case with most hosting providers, right? So what happens is that and it's the case with most hosting providers, and you know why? Because if the pricing is not transparent, businesses won't be able to make those decisions, right? So if I click on an application and just name it randomly, and click on I want a DigitalOcean server, and if I move this toggle to the last one, you can see the pricing is changing automatically over here, and it tells you what it's going to cost you hourly, and it's going to tell you what it's going to cost you monthly.
Okay.
Right. And this is basically because so that users don't have any unpleasant surprises at the end of the month. They don't see that we chose a $10 server, now we are being billed $20 a server. So turns out there were hidden costs, right? Apart from taxes, our pricing is completely transparent, right? So taxes differ from country to country, place to place, region to region. We can't for sure say that this is the specific amount of tax that you will be paying. So apart from taxes, this is exactly what you're going to pay for a month, right?
Now, does the location of the server impact the cost?
No, it's the same.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it doesn't affect, because what does affect is the size of the server.
Okay.
Yeah. So it doesn't affect the cost of the server. So cost considerations, as I mentioned before, it's something that we take very seriously. Now, most of the listeners or viewers might be influenced by this presentation, and they would say, okay, so we need a managed host now for our business. So what features you look for in a managed host? Very simple, very basic. So these are 5 to 6 things that you should be looking out for in a managed host. The first one is also, as I mentioned before, performance optimization tools, right? The features that I mentioned before in my presentation. If I can just go back and revise it a bit: cache layers, VPN, CDNs, SSD servers, cache plugins. Now these are some of the things that should be present in a managed host when it comes to performance. Security measures, as I mentioned before, patching, maintenance, security measures. You can ask. Obviously, it's important to speak to the sales rep before choosing a hosting provider and ask them as many questions as you can. And obviously, you can use this presentation as a playbook and say, okay, so I want to know if you have SSL certificates. I want to know if you do server patching. I want to know what kind of firewalls you have, what kind of vulnerabilities you scan for. And it's important to get answers for those questions before you make a choice for your hosting provider, for your next hosting provider, right?
Okay.
Scalability options. Again, if you don't use, obviously, when you are in the decision making process of choosing the ideal hosting for your business, you won't have an idea what kind of scalability options they have. Again, it's important to ask the sales rep about these things, about these features, if they have it or not. Customer support. You can get a lot of information about customer support from review websites, right? So there is Review Signal, there are other review CNET, there are other review websites where you can read what other customers are saying regarding the support of a hosting provider, right? So it's important to read those as well. Backup and recovery solutions. I think most of this information is already there on the website. Safe updates. Now, safe updates is something, you can call it automatic updates. Other hosting providers call it something else. Safe updates is something which allows users to update their WordPress core, WordPress plugins, WordPress themes automatically, right? So at Cloudways, we just recently launched this feature. It's called Safe Updates, obviously, and what it does is basically it allows users to update their applications and their themes and plugins automatically. It obviously comes at a cost. Again, very transparent, mention over here, up to 5 applications, $3 a month, 6+ applications, $2 a month. The more applications you have on Safe Updates, it's going to cost you less, right? So what you can do with Safe Updates, it's important. On-demand updates, you can update it today, tomorrow, whenever you want, and at a click of a button. You can schedule updates. If you want your WordPress themes to update at a specific date every month, you can do that. Now it's completely safe. How? Because it does VRT, which is visual regression testing. It tests the update first before taking it live. Because updates, Robby, you should know this, because updates can break your website, right? So if you update your WordPress core, right, it can have an effect on the plugins that you have installed already, because compatibility might come into play then. So what it does is it tests the update first before taking it live, so that your live website doesn't break down once the update is applied, right? And you can test performance. You can update premium plugins and themes. We have a list of plugins that does not exactly are compatible with Safe Updates, but that's a very short list of free plugins. But all premium plugins are compatible with Safe Updates end-to-end testing, as I mentioned before. So it's important, if it's a WordPress managed hosting or a managed WordPress hosting, whatever they can call it, it's important that they have this automatic updates feature installed, or feature in their arsenal. Autoscale, as I mentioned before, autoscale is a completely different product to our regular hosting. So going forward, we're going to be making sure that there's a significant difference between our regular product, and auto scale. So we have the flexible product, which is what I was showing you on the screen right now, and then auto scale is something which is completely different, right? So it scales automatically, as I mentioned before. And this is pretty much it, Robey, from my side.
Cool.
So again, just to reiterate and share the importance of having managed hosting for your business, and making sure that your business has a solid foundation uh, before deciding what type of hosting you should go for. And obviously, Robey, I would have made. I think personally, I would have spent more time on this presentation, but it's the current dynamics of Black Friday,
Yeah.
and the hustle bustle going on right now. So yeah,
You did
I'm
awesome, man. No, that was great. Absolutely.
hopefully, yeah,
Very helpful, man.
hopefully next time, I would definitely be, making it more interactive and making sure that, there is as much. I wanted to have, a lot of information over here. I wanted to make it 100 slides, but, due to time constraint and everything, obviously,
we can go on about this stuff for days, man. That's for sure. No, definitely. No, that was very concise. Like, I really like some of the things that you mentioned, like safe updates seems like a very important thing to have on our sites, because it's so often that we're in the plugin development business. When we release the update, we don't always know how those plugin updates are going to interact with other plugins on the site that might be out of date or whatever the case might be. So we do often get customers that run outdated versions of things and stuff like that. So I can see something like this really helping businesses and agencies, making sure that the clients stay up to date, but also that random updates that do come out don't break their sites. And maybe a little bit more about this, Moeez, but I assume that what that does, it creates a staging environment, tests us on there, does all your tests, and then if that's okay, it pushes it to production automatically?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow. That's cool. Well, I do have some questions here for you, Moeez, if you're open to taking a couple from us
Sure.
I've got Marco here. He was asking, basically saying that, hey, we make a ton of WordPress sites. So what email setup would you recommend? Generally, they go with hosting company's email that handles everything. So I'm hearing shared hosting a little bit here. So this is kind of a new aspect. And I know you guys use Rackspace, I believe, or partner with Rackspace. But if you could elaborate a little bit on that for us.
Sure, Robey. That's a great question, Marco, and it's very important. Emails are obviously very important for every business, and what we generally recommend. I mean, I will speak for myself. I mean, what I generally recommend to users like Marco is that to have your email hosting on a separate provider, right? So, for example, we partner with Rackspace. We don't host emails ourselves, right? We don't do that. That's not part of the stack. So we partnered with Rackspace, and Rackspace hosts email for our users at a discounted price. So your emails are hosted with Rackspace, but you can manage them from Cloudways, from the one platform that you have. Because it's convenient. Right? Yeah, one dashboard, because it's convenient. Now, what that does is basically it's cost effective, it's safe, because you never know, right? I mean, it's hosting is something that's you can't say for sure with 100% certainty that nothing will go wrong, right? Because it's technology, right? I mean, it can it can go down anytime, to be very honest. And you don't want your emails to stop, you don't want your campaigns to stop, you don't want your email data to go to get lost, right? So it's very important to have your email set up on a separate provider altogether.
Because what does Rackspace cost as an add-on?
So Rackspace cost around $1 per account.
Per email address.
Per email address. I can be wrong. $1 per application per account.
Okay.
Yeah. So for example, if you have 10 applications, you're gonna be paying $10 a month for Rackspace.
Okay. Gotcha.
Right? Usually it costs a bit more than that if you go to Rackspace, directly, but at Cloudways you get a discounted price, right? So this is what we offer. This is what we offer at Cloudways, and what we recommend to everyone at Cloudways, because a lot of users, when they migrate to Cloudways, they ask this question that what's the scene, what's the case with with emails, and we tell them we don't host emails over here,
Yeah.
right? So if you have emails hosted on GoDaddy, for example, or any other hosting provider, we suggest that you keep it there, right? And you host your website with us.
Okay.
And if you want to move emails, use Rackspace. We will provide the email migration. Again, it comes with a cost. We will migrate your emails ourselves. It will cost you a few dollars, but it's going to be safe. You don't have to do it yourself, right? So this is something this is the solution that we provide to people who have, to users like Marco, who have this sort of complexity in their setup.
Awesome. Well, that's a good answer. I appreciate that. I've had some experience with Rackspace myself and through Cloudways, and that has been a very convenient to be able to manage it from your dashboard, which is nice and easy. So more questions here. I've got another question here from guest 107, and they're asking, what's the best way to decide on a server provider? I know Cloudways is owned by DigitalOcean, so basically saying, you guys have AWS, you've got DigitalOcean, you've got various options, Vultr for a server. Like, what's the best way to decide which one to use?
Well, the best way to decide is look at your budget, right? I mean, this is the first thing. I mean, we are owned by DigitalOcean, and that doesn't mean that I will tell you to use DigitalOcean only. It depends on what your requirement is and what your budget is, right? I mean, AWS and Google Cloud, if you have a complex environment, if you have a complex website, if you have an e-commerce store that caters to 1 million visitors every month, or for example, if you have a complex in your network of websites, or if you have a multi-site environment, for example, and you need something that is super reliable, a good name in the industry, and you have the budget, obviously AWS and Google Cloud are the one for you, right? But if you're just starting off, if you are just starting your business, if you're just starting your e-commerce store, or if you are a small business for that matter, and obviously if you're small, you have a limited budget, right? Then DigitalOcean is the one for you.
So
right?
it's basically those are the more expensive options, right? So and so let's say somebody starts, this is just a follow-up question on, let's say, DigitalOcean Droplet, right?
Yeah.
And they have scaled now, and now DigitalOcean is not working that well anymore. They need to go to AWS. Do you guys do migrations for that?
Yes. Yeah, it's very easy. I mean, users can do it themselves as well. I mean, it's like 3 clicks, 4 clicks. You can clone your server, move it to AWS, delete the previous server, and then you're all set.
Wow.
But it's highly recommended that you involve a support engineer when you're doing this, because a lot of things can go wrong once you're moving from one provider to another. It's easy, but it's obviously safer to have a support engineer involved in this. But that is definitely possible. I mean, if you are on DO, you want to move to AWS, now you want to move to Google, you want to move back to DO, it's absolutely possible. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that's good. And then I've got Pete here. He's asking about the auto scaling. He wants to know that when you auto scale up, will it auto scale back down after? Because of course, with auto scale, you don't want it to get stuck on that higher tier when your traffic doesn't warrant it at that point in time. So how does that work exactly?
Yeah, so auto scale is one of the features that we haven't rolled out publicly at the moment. It's still, you can say it's still in the testing phase. It's still in the beta phase. We have a lot of people using auto scale at the moment, and we're getting feedback and we're improving it as we move along. But we do plan to release it publicly sometime next year. And so how does it work? It's simple. As the name suggests, it scales your server capacity, it scales your server resources automatically, and then it scales down as well. That too automatically, right? So if
follow up from that, I know at DigitalOcean you can scale up and you can't scale down, right?
Yeah.
Is it Amazon or AWS that you can scale up and down?
So it's Amazon and Google Cloud where you can scale up and down, but auto scaling is only applied on Google Cloud.
So auto scaling is not applied on DigitalOcean, right?
No. It's only on Google Cloud, right? Because Google Cloud provides this feature where you can scale down, right? And when we did our testing, we found that Google Cloud was the best fit for this type of feature. So we obviously had the auto scaling feature just on Google Cloud and not on AWS and DO at the moment.
Okay. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got Shannon here asking about uptime monitoring. And do you guys offer some sort of uptime monitoring that if a site goes down, a WordPress install specifically, do you get notified? What's that all about?
Yeah, so we have a monitoring feature on our platform where you can monitor your resources, server resources, and how they are being shared between your applications. So for example, if you have 10 applications hosted on a single server, that feature will tell you how many resources are being used by each of those 10 websites.
Okay. And if one of those applications goes down, do I get an email or?
Yeah, so we have the Cloudways bot. That bot will notify you immediately via email. And if you have given your phone number, it will notify you via text as well. It will notify you on the platform.
Okay.
You get several notifications if your site is down. If it's the server that is causing the site down, obviously it's not just you who will be affected. It's going to be a lot of other websites as well that are going to be affected. But if it's something that is in your website, it's website specific. If it's a plugin specific issue, if it's a theme specific issue that is taking your site down, then obviously you will be notified as well. But it won't automatically be patched. Right?
Okay,
if you don't have the support add-on, it won't be patched automatically. You will have to request a patching. But if it's a server side issue, it will automatically be patched.
Wow, well, that's really awesome, man.
Yeah.
Cool. I've got James here. James wants to know. He says, "Well, I understand hosting and how it works, but every time he needs to move a site, and I think he means migrate a site, he has trouble. Is there what are kind of like this migration features that you guys offer? So let's say somebody's coming from Bluehost or somewhere else, or maybe they want to migrate to a new domain. What do you guys offer in that space?"
Yeah, so when it comes to migration, we have two options. You can use our migrator plugin. So it's an in-house plugin that we have created. What it does is basically it allows you to migrate as many websites as you want, as many WordPress websites as you want to Cloudways from any host. Right. So if you're coming from Bluehost, GoDaddy, SiteGround, HostGator, anywhere, you can use that migrator plugin and then migrate those websites to Cloudways free of cost.
Oh wow.
The second feature is the support assisted migration. As the name suggests, you will have to contact a support agent, and then that support agent will migrate the sites for you. That's actually a more safer option. If you have a more complex website, if you have a website that is that is data heavy, I would suggest that you use that option because it's safer. It's not quick. Again, the migrator plugin is not quick either. But it will migrate a website very safely, and then it comes at a cost. It's not free. So every website is going to cost you some dollars based on how complex or how big your site is. Right. So these are the two options that we have. The migrator plugin, free, unlimited. The support assisted migration is going to cost you some dollars per application.
Now, my question, your current Black Friday deal that you're offering all of our users so graciously includes 40 migrations. What type of migrations are those?
Support assisted, obviously.
Oh, support assisted. So the ones you would normally pay for. That's awesome.
Yeah. And the migrator plugin that I just mentioned, it's only available for WordPress users.
Got it.
So if someone who's not on WordPress, they would naturally have to use the support assisted migration. And for those people, 40 free migrations is a big deal, right? Because they will have to pay a lot for those 40 websites to get migrated to Cloudways. So,
oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I've got Donald here with an interesting question. He seems to be in the reselling game, reselling hosting, and he wants to know whether you've got a similar reseller solution to WHM, which provides a separate cPanel account for each of the reseller's clients.
Well, unfortunately, we don't have a reseller option at the moment, and I'm not sure if we even plan to have one in the future because we never got into this business of having people resell Cloudways. You can obviously resell Cloudways by joining the affiliate program we have. We have the affiliate program as well, which is very it offers amazing monetary benefits. But when it comes to reseller or having giving cPanel accounts, we unfortunately don't have that at the moment.
Okay, no, that's excellent. Thank you for that. Now, does anybody else out there have any questions? I'm all out of questions for you here, Mr. Moeez. Anybody else? Going once. Going twice. Oh, there's. Donald actually linked to a reseller option here for agency clients.
Yeah, so but it doesn't have the cPanel access that he was talking about.
Oh,
right.
got it.
This is again an affiliate-based program. I mean, they can choose to sell Cloudways without naming it as Cloudways, but they will still don't have the cPanel access.
Got it. Yeah. I don't know, Donald, does that answer your question? Do you want to jump in here and speak directly to Moeez if you want? He's typing.
And I think this page is pretty outdated because I can see the pricing. Okay, yeah.
Okay.
It's sort of outdated.
Okay, no, he says that answers the question, so that's great.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, excellent. Well, I'm gonna share our link here for Cloudways, and then of course use your coupon code that you have that Moeez has provided us with, which has been so awesome from him. That's on the left-hand side here, but also on our site on diviengine.com/Black Friday. You can see our Black Friday offering as well as a link to Moeez's Cloudways site with the coupon codes and all that fun stuff. Moeez, my man, I really appreciate you taking the time to meet up with us here with our awesome clients. I know I learned a lot today from you, and I'm sure there's some of us here that might have some follow-up questions that I might shoot your way.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks. I think there's so much to cover, wasn't there? But I think it was some interesting things. I think I'm really interested in the auto scaling. I think that's such an awesome feature.
We will definitely have more regarding auto scale in the coming few months, especially when we are doing the general availability launch. So we will definitely have more around our social media and email that auto scale is finally here. We're still doing some final touches, but hopefully we're gonna get this out sooner rather than later. Robey, thank you for having me here today. It was amazing. It was a pleasure talking to you and your clients and your members. Obviously, there is a lot to cover when it comes to managed hosting. I mean, I can go on for hours and hours around how important managed hosting is for businesses nowadays. But given the time, that's all I could cover at the moment. So thank you, Robey. Thank you, Pete. Thank you, everyone, for having me here today.
I really appreciate it, man. And for the rest of you, we're still going to be co-working here for another hour or so. So if you guys want to hang out and chat to the team, you're welcome to do so. But Moeez, we'll set you free. Go enjoy your evening. I know it's quite late there by you. Yeah. So I appreciate your time, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robey. See you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. That was cool. There was just so much information, wasn't there? But,
there's loads of information when it comes to hosting. That's so true.
I thought it was,
it's tough to get to it all because it really, it's a lot.
Yeah, I think, but I think the auto scale is such a, so basically what happened was it 2 or 3 years ago, we had a sale and our server was, we're using Cloudways actually. And our server was lower because throughout the whole year, we don't get that volume of people. And the Black Friday came and then it just spiked. Our server crashed. And then I increased the server and it worked fine. Then the following sale happened again. So I increased it again. And now we're at a stage where we're at the server's large for Black Friday. And then the rest of the year, we don't need it. It's extra resources. So I thought that auto scale feature is really useful. And I think especially for clients, I got a friend of mine who's launched an e-commerce site and it crashed and it's like that auto scale will then just adjust, wouldn't it? And it'll just give you more resources or less.
Yeah, what's nice is that it doesn't keep you at that level of hosting. I'd be interested to see what their pricing is if you do go with Google Cloud as opposed to DigitalOcean, because that seems to be a little more of an enterprise level that they are after.
I was just looking at their pricing and it looks pretty reasonable.
What from cloud to
so for the auto scale, so you don't have to, by the looks of it, you don't have to select Google Cloud when you configure the auto scale. It just creates your server with that.
So it is it's ready, is it? He said it's coming.
And there's a beta plan for it, so I suppose it's a really limited rollout. But one application's $35 a month.
So it goes by application.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess if we like looking at diviengine.com, for example, that's not that much to ensure that you don't have downtime, right? Because the potential sale loss is much higher.
Yeah, so I guess you'd use it more on like, so if you're an agency, right, you'd use it more on your bigger clients who have big sales and things like that.
Yeah,
And there are additional pricings.
Yeah, sorry.
Go
ahead. No.
Their additional pricing is pretty interesting. It's $1 for every 10 gig of additional bandwidth.
Okay.
Or $1 for every 1,000 additional visits over your plan. I mean, from an auto scale standpoint for your, for those short-term spikes, that's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, it's pretty incremental. That's good. And I like the idea that safe update. I'm just curious to see what premium plugins they support or don't support. It sounded like it was more a list of known plugins that don't work with it.
Yeah.
And then something else. But I think a lot of people can benefit from something like that. I know that sometimes, we are a little afraid to do updates because, what if the site goes down? So that's kind of a cool thing, I think.
I was just speaking to Jay earlier about how we've implemented more automation testing before we've been releasing the plugins.
Yeah.
I think that's been a massive. Our recent updates, and I hold my hand up that in the past we have released updates with bugs but we've been very quick to fix it, right? Which is important. But recently we've been, we implemented automation testing, and we're only getting better. But the last updates there's been no bugs really because we've been catching them before, which has been great. So I think I'm really happy about that.
No, that's awesome. Yeah, no, definitely this AI stuff is changing the game a little bit, isn't it? So using the tools, not replacing everything, but using the tools is very helpful.
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
awesome.
I'm going to hop back to work. So anybody that's left over, there's the co-working desks all the way to the right. Please come join us. And for those of you watching this on YouTube, we invite you to come join us every day during Black Friday between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. UK to come hang out with the Divi Engine team, talk about anything you want to. Well, maybe not anything, but fun topics as they relate to web development and so forth. So with that, thank you for joining the broadcast, and I will catch you guys again. Bye.
Thanks, Robey. Cheers.
No, sorry, I muted you earlier just because your keyboard went.